It has been almost 5 years since Hurricane Harvey caused catastrophic flooding that destroyed homes and killed more than 100 people. After all of this time, there is still bickering over how federal disaster funds are being distributed. Harris County, and Houston specifically, suffered immense damage. But reporting from the Texas Tribune shows they are poised to get less federal disaster relief money than areas far from the coast. We are asking Congressman Al Green what he's doing to solve this problem. He is a Democrat from Houston. He is on the House Financial Services Committee and chairs its Oversight and Investigations Subcommittee. Good morning, Congressman Green. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. It's an honor to be with you.
This is funding that Congress approved, meaning you approved it. So what went wrong?
Well, it's become a disaster. The disaster relief plan has become a disaster in and of itself, which is quite regrettable because there are people who are still suffering. Houston, Harris County, over 1 trillion gallons of water. It was the epicenter. Yet one of the plans actually zeroed out Houston, zeroed out Harris County. And then in a subsequent plan, not based on per capita damage, but based on percentage of damage, allowed places that were inland, some 200 plus miles inland, to receive more money than the areas that were at the epicenter of Hurricane Harvey. This is just unacceptable. And I regret that GLO has taken this position because HUD has extended the hand of friendship to GLO in an effort to get GLO to sit and let's talk through this and come to an amiable, amicable decision about how these funds should be allocated. But GLO has not done this.
When you talk about GLO, that of course is the General Land Office. Has your office reached out? Have you tried to talk to them about the methodology that they've used? Have you gotten any answers?
Well, I've done more than reach out. We've had hearings here in Washington, D.C. That I chaired, and we had in Houston, so sort of inquiry. We've looked into this extensively, and we've had persons from GLO to appear, and we've made our views known. But here is the problem. We send this money to the states, and when the money gets to the states then decide how it will matriculate to the various subsets of that given state. And in Texas, once the money gets to Texas, unfortunately, we lose a lot of the authority that we want to have in causing people who are suffering to get the money. And this is not just peculiar to this circumstance. It's happened with money that was for education, not spent and as we assumed it would be. But I want to commend the Texas Tribune because their reporting on this has exposed it.
So what can be done? Is there any chance of a federal investigation or a complaint to HUD to try to relieve this disparity?
I don't believe HUD has indicated that this is the end. The process allows HUD to approve a plan preliminarily. Once you start to execute that plan, if that plan in some way breaches HUD guidelines, then HUD can come back, step back in and take an action against the state itself. So we're waiting to see this plan as they proceed to implement it. And if we see the invidious discrimination taking place that appears to be taking place because the poor and people of color are along these coastal areas, and we intended for the people who were suffering to get the money. But if you decide that you're going to take it from the poor and the people of color and send it to areas that where you don't have a lot of people of color, then I think there's reason for HUD to continue with this, and I think HUD will. That money was not sent to Texas so that it could be distributed to people who were not impacted by the hurricane.
Is the process flawed? Because it sounds like there's just no real federal oversight once these dollars are given to the state. So do you believe that the process needs to be overhauled in some way?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. You are eminently correct. We have to overhaul the process. And I'm looking into that myself, the process, the possibility of overhauling this process. I also have a bill that would help us to fast track this money that has been pending in the Senate. And my hope is that we can tweak that legislation and put in some sort of clawback provision such that if a state declines to adhere to the intentionality of Congress, we can claw that back, claw the funds back and hold on to those funds. We should not allow states to receive funds and then disregard what Congress intended.
Still a long road to recovery ahead. All right, Congressman Green, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, sir.
Well, I thank you very much, because what you're doing will help us to make sure that those who are suffering will get some help that they need. Thank you.